All right, welcome everyone. Today's session's on developing workplace readiness skills. Such an important topic as your students are getting ready to transition from high school to the adult world. I'm Diane Monig. I'm the Director of Programs here at the ARC of Northern Virginia. And we're so happy to have with us today Ariel Matz from Matz Consulting. I will send out, she's done great presentations for us before. I will send out her contact information later with a link to her website. Ariel has a background in special education, and she started her own company called Ariel Matz Consulting, and she provides consultations, special education programming support, and assessments, and some other additional services as well, which she will talk to you more about. So I do want to mention that today's session will be recorded, and we will send the recording link out to you. I will also send the slides out as well, so you don't have to take tons of notes. And with that, let's get started. Thanks so much, Ariel. Oh, I did want to mention that you'll be able to, Ariel's going to stop at different points to take questions. So feel free to type your questions into either the Q&A box or the chat box, and that'll be fine, and she'll stop to answer those. All right, thank you, Ariel.
Hey, good morning, everyone. I actually have this chat box up here where I can see it, so I'll try to keep an eye on it as well. Thanks so much for being here, and Diane and the ARC. I'm so thankful that you decided to host me again today. I'm really, really excited to be here. You are here because you want to know how to prepare your child for the workplace, and I'm here to share my expertise with you. So I'm really, really glad that you joined me and took your time. A little bit about me. I'm Ariel Matz. I live in Alexandria with my husband and our 2- and 4-year-old girls. And I'm a special education consultant. As a consultant, I get to do a lot of very cool things. But my favorite is definitely working with adults with disabilities. And I have the privilege of working in various job settings here in our Northern Virginia community. On the various skills we're going to talk about today. Prior to starting my own business, I worked as a special educator and then in leadership at a career center for students with disabilities 18 to 22 in Fairfax County. And throughout my career, I've had so many parents ask me how I got their kids to do this or to do that. So today I'm really excited to share those things with you. I picked up a lot of strategies over the years. So to start with, let's go through what our agenda today will be. And we're going to divide this up into 2 different sections. First, we're going to come to a common understanding of our workplace readiness skills. And we're going to target 4 of those skills that, in my experience, are going to be really vital to workplace success and somewhat easier for you to focus on at home. And I'll answer any questions you may have, and then I'm going to dive into some strategies I've learned in my 15 years as a special educator, and looking forward to your questions along the way. So, as promised, we're going to start with understanding what workplace readiness skills are. And in front of you, you will see this poster that was created by the Virginia Department of Education. And they worked with employers to identify needs that employers in Virginia really want to see with their employees. What are they looking for? And they are looking for certain personal qualities and abilities, people skills, and professional traits. And you can see there's 22 of them here. We are not going to be able to do that in an hour together. So we are just going to go through those 4 today. These skills will vary by job, but they often include time management, problem solving, understanding and engaging in appropriate workplace relationships. These skills, they allow us to interact with everyone around us, not just in the workplace, and do so effectively. Many of us are able to pick these skills up naturally, while others need some more support in getting there. So as you can see, 22 here, and we're going to go through 4 that are going to be really impactful for your family. So I just wanted to quickly go through our hard versus, soft skills or workplace readiness skills. And I want you to think about your own job. So you need skills that are related to your specific job, such as being able to use a specific software on your computer. We all needed to be able to log into Zoom for this meeting today. Those sort of things are hard skills. Being able to use a certain tool, being able to use a dishwasher in a workplace, those are hard skills. And then we have our soft skills, and those are the skills that allow us to be good workers, being on time, following through directions without an attitude, and having appropriate interactions with coworkers. Today, we're going to refer to soft skills as our workplace readiness skills. And my only problem with saying soft skills is that it kind of makes them seem like they're not important, when in fact, these are the skills that matter just as much, if not more, than hard skills. So a statistic that really troubles me is that only 1 in 3 Americans with a disability is employed. Deficits in workplace readiness skills are often their greatest barrier to obtaining and maintaining employment. We see our kiddos getting hired for jobs and then not being able to keep them because their social skills do not meet the demands of the workplace. These skills are important because they are the most desirable skills employers are searching for in their potential employees. And taking initiative, having a positive attitude, being able to manage your time and resources, and communicating with others are really essential for workplace success. So now, how are we going to help get our kids towards workplace success? We're actually already doing a lot of these things naturally, because home is the first place we learn about decision-making, taking responsibility, and contributing to a team. Our kids learn workplace readiness skills best through our everyday interactions they have at home with you, their family. Working on having responsibilities at home where mistakes are easily forgiven helps kids develop strong workplace readiness skills. The most important step that you can take towards preparing your child for the world of work is to encourage their participation in their daily lives. As much as possible, you want your child to take ownership of important decisions. We want them to make choices and have responsibilities in your household. And I am talking about doing chores. Before I go any further, please do not leave this presentation and say, oh my God, this consultant says that my kids need to do all these chores or they're never going to get a job. That is not what I'm saying. I want you to start with 1 chore and set your kiddo up for success by giving them a role that they can do and a role that's going to make them feel special and want to come back for more. The first workplace readiness skill that we're going to talk about today is work ethic. In the workplace, being dependable, having a positive attitude, and giving your best effort are really valued. When someone has a great work ethic, that means they're sure to make sure that things are done correctly, they're punctual, they're focused, and they take direction willingly. These people are often self-motivated, and they're often doing the right thing even though nobody is watching. An example of strong work ethic would be finishing folding the laundry neatly, even though you're tired, or checking that the table you set looks neat. An example of poor work ethic would be throwing the laundry back into the dryer, which is something that I'm very guilty of myself. So my biggest piece of advice would be to treat chores that you assign to your child like a job. Your child will naturally pick up work ethic by completing chores and increasing their autonomy in their daily routines. When our child sees a task start to finish, they are developing that work ethic, because chores are hard work. They're things that we do not want to do. I mean, really, I don't want to do any of them. They're really not fun. So when I do complete something start to finish, I am developing work ethic. I am seeing, wow, this feels really good to complete this task, to contribute, to hear positive praise from my family members for doing these things, to contributing to the family. They're going to feel good knowing that they can contribute to your family. And it feels really good to get recognition from you. So we are going to up the praise. As kids become more adept at tasks that you're asking of them, they're going to start seeing themselves as more capable. And knowing that you can make yourself a meal or learning how to do a new skill really brings us a sense of achievement and satisfaction. The more capable that your child sees themselves, the more they're going to want to do for themselves. By giving your child responsibility in the home, you're actually going to empower them to be ready for the type of work that they'll be needing to do when they leave high school. So some ways to develop work ethic. Some things that I like to do are make explicit agreements, and I do this in the classroom and in the home. What are those responsibilities that are theirs, their independent responsibilities going to be? So you can say something like, I usually clear the table. Starting tomorrow, it's going to be your job to take your plate to the sink. We're going to give that constructive feedback on chore completion and practice how to appropriately accept feedback. This is a really big one. We can always also switch roles with your child to make this supervisor role something more playful, and they can give feedback to you on a task that you're completing. We always want our feedback to be constructive, because we want our kids to come back for more, right? So let's be very encouraging when we are giving feedback. We also know that our feedback is not always welcome. I mean, if you're a parent of a teen or a tween or a young adult, we can almost guess that our feedback is not going to be very welcome. And that's okay, because it's incredibly important for your child to build that muscle of being able to accept feedback for the workplace. Now, this last one, modeling, is actually my favorite way to teach a new skill. And I also think it's one of those words that us educators use without fully explaining what that means. So modeling is basically talking out loud to yourself. It's letting your kid in on your thought processes. So it's going to feel weird, because really it is weird. Talking out loud to yourself feels strange, but it is also very effective. So let me model the modeling. So we're working side by side to complete a task. Let's say we're folding towels from the laundry. So you accidentally make a mistake, and we're going to model how we correctly do your work. So it could sound something like this. Oh man, I totally folded this towel incorrectly. Let me try to fix it. You're fixing it. Okay, oh, I fixed it. Okay, I refolded that there. All right, let me check the rest of the towels to make sure I got those right too. Oh, I gotta refold this one. Let's refold this one. Perfect. Okay, I'm gonna put these back in the closet and I'm done for the night. Wow, that feels good. So yeah, saying all of those things and thinking your thoughts out loud is going to sound weird, but it's going to be a very effective tool to teaching your child work ethic. Now, this is a fun activity that you can try at home for checking work for accuracy, which is a very important part of developing work ethic. This is a tough skill to learn, and it's also super important. So what you can do here is take a picture of the way you want a task completed. So you see here, I have a picture of a set table and a picture of, how I would want things put in a drawer, and then have your child complete the task with the picture. Once they're completed, you guys are going to go through that picture together and check accuracy against the picture. And this really develops that skill of checking your work and also correcting your work using that model of the picture. Do we have any questions thus far? I know I've said a lot. Not quite yet. Awesome. Please use that chat anytime. The next skill, 2 out of our 4 that we're going to discuss today, is teamwork. And cooperating with others is really important. We work with others in the workplace to achieve common goals. And it's a skill, having teamwork and being able to share responsibility for work is necessary in most workplaces. So we see that teamwork means sharing responsibility for work and respecting the contributions of other team members. So I would say that this is probably the most natural skill that you can be practicing in the home, and probably something that you are already doing. Developing teamwork. A child's family is really their first team. So as I said, this will be the most natural skill to develop. As a family team, you're accountable to one another, and there are consequences when you don't meet each other's expectations. Something I really recommend doing is working together as a family. You can divide up a task, or you can work side by side to prepare a meal together or set the table. When dinner's over, you can divide up the cleaning duties. As this becomes part of your routine, your child is learning the give and take of teamwork and learning that they can contribute to your family team. Another thing you can do working together that can be more fun than chores is working on collaborative projects like a puzzle, or maybe doing some volunteer work where your family, builds, makes sandwiches together or something as a team. And then as you're doing these things, we're pointing out and we're celebrating the contributions of every single family member. And this is really important. We want our kids to feel that we are thankful for their contributions. This is going to build that confidence and also give your child the desire to help with the tasks that you want them to do. And our third workplace readiness skill is going to be time management, which is a very difficult skill to use, because we're constantly scrambling for more time in our day as adults. And so teaching this skill can also be difficult. But being able to be efficient, productive, and manage your time and resources are one of the most important workplace readiness skills, in my opinion. And we can teach our children how to manage their time from a very early age. We say things, to our 2-year-olds that are very simple explanations. Once you finish cleaning, we can go outside. Some of our kiddos use first then boards or visual schedules or timers to learn how to manage their time. And I highly recommend any of those, a continuation of those that they're using maybe in the school to also be at home with the use of visuals. So to work on time management, you're going to explicitly create organizational schemes to support the independence of your child. What does that mean? What is this going to look like? So you can work together to create a daily schedule. You can sit with your child, if this is developmentally appropriate, and think about all the activities your child needs to do and that they want to do. And everything that they want to accomplish throughout the day. Clearly they have some things that they need to do, like going to school, taking a shower, all those daily requirements. You're going to write them all down. There's probably some things they want to do too, like watching TV, playing video games. You're also going to write those down. You're going to discuss them when they need to be completed, and which are priorities. Do we need to take out the trash before we are allowed to watch TV? You know, these are how you are going to make sure that your chores that you're assigning are part of what your child is prioritizing throughout the day by including them in a daily schedule. So this can be a before or after school schedule. This could be a visual schedule to complete the steps of packing your lunch independently, or you can make a shared note on your phone with your family to-do list in it. There's so many, different organizational schemes that you can put in place. And I would recommend starting with one of them, a to-do list, schedule, a breakdown of a task that you want your child to do. As routines become more familiar, you're going to decrease your prompting and work towards independence. We're going to model how we organize our approach to tasks and errands. We're going to show your child how we could create a shopping list or plan a dinner menu for the week and get them involved in doing that with you. Together, you can follow the shopping list or cross things off a to-do list as a team. I'd also recommend using a weekly calendar, and I would potentially print this one out to fill in days where there are special activities or events, and I would work on consistently checking the calendar. So whether you do this every day on your way out the door to school, or whether this is something you do in the evening before school, you're going to put that into your daily routine. And then if there's something special coming up, such as a night at Jill's house or an after-school sport, you can prompt your child to pack what they need. So we are working towards independence in all sorts of levels here. You're going to decrease your prompting. You can say something like, you have Jill's house tomorrow. What should you do? Now, once your child is independently checking that calendar, we're going to allow them to have some minor natural consequences, such as forgetting their sports uniform or an assignment that they need to turn in at home. Now, you know your kid, and you know it's going to be a big or little deal to them. The key here is for them to learn a lesson and to increase that independence, not to have a total meltdown because they forgot their tennis shoes for an after-school sport. So, you do what is best with those natural consequences for your child. And then visual reminders. These can be so simple, and you can write them down next to something you want your child to do, or you can use them on the phone as well. Next to the shower, could you have a little note that says, remember shampoo? Or do you need written directions of every step of how to do the laundry? These sort of visuals can be really, really helpful. And then I'm going to talk about this more on the next slide, but you're going to want to use mechanical prompts when possible. And I'm talking actually about using your device. So I will highly, highly, highly recommend utilizing the built-in functions on your phone. If your child has a phone, I recommend that they learn how to use the built-in functions on their phone. And I'm talking about the Notes app, the Calendar app, timers, reminders, alarm. When possible, use these functions rather than a human prompt. So, for example, use an alarm to wake up rather than mom coming to wake you up. If you need to pack something for the next day, use a reminder on the cell phone rather than mom having to remind you 5 million times to please, remember something. We really want to take ourselves out of the equation as much as possible because there's literally an app for that. And then check in with yourself weekly, as you put more responsibilities onto your child, check in with yourself to make sure that you are decreasing prompting, and think about where can I put in a mechanical prompt, such as a timer, an alarm, the use of a visual timer. Where could I put that in instead of myself? Being able to use all of these apps on your cell phone is actually really important for the workplace. And they're things that I use all the time, in my work, and I imagine you use all the time in your work as well. And then we have professionalism. And this, I mean, I'm going to tell you that these are also important, and they are, because at work, you really do need to present the best version of yourself. You need to meet the expectations of your workplace regarding your behavior, your work schedule, your appearance, and the way you communicate with others. The way you complete tasks matters. Sometimes at work, we need to do things that we really don't like to do, and we often need to do them with a smile on our face. So working, how your child completes those chores, if they're mumbling and grumbling about it the whole time, you need to give them that feedback that would not be appropriate in the workplace, and start working on accepting that direction appropriately. So let's talk a little bit more about developing professionalism. Unfortunately, physical appearance is important. It's one of the biggest factors that people consider when they form an impression of you. Today, I put on something other than sweats, which I am normally wearing in my home office, because it just wouldn't be appropriate if that's what I showed up in today. Because you are forming an impression of me. So even though physical appearance is definitely not the best way to judge a person's character, it's human nature to form an opinion based on what we see in front of us. If your child goes to school or if they volunteer, use that as an opportunity to dress for work, dress for success. Come to school well-groomed and neatly dressed, go to volunteering or to the grocery store, looking put together. And then point out the differences between your work clothes and your at-home clothes. Demonstrate how you get ready for work versus getting ready to hang out at home on a Saturday. You're going to get ready different. Create a checklist for your child to follow to make sure that they are groomed and dressed appropriately for the day. And I talked about how important I feel modeling is. Really think out loud as you're getting ready, or accidentally get some peanut butter on your face as you're eating breakfast in the morning, and take out a pocket mirror and clean your face. You're checking I got something here, I'm cleaning my face up. Those things matter, and your child will learn from watching you do these things. And then, you can give them a turn with the mirror and say, do you have anything on your face? Modeling is your friend. I've got more on developing professionalism because that's how important I think it is. Make sure that your kid is attending their class regularly, or whatever sort of activity they're engaged in, they need to be attending regularly and on time. And if they are not going to be there for some reason, practice emailing the teacher or calling into the attendance line at school to explain absences or tardiness, because this is a skill they're going to have to do. If you don't show up for work, you can't just not show up. You need to tell your supervisor that you're not going to be there. So practicing those skills are very important. And then we have our natural consequences. You can see here, I put this graphic on one side, you're making a choice, it's leading to a rainbow. On the other side, it's leading to cloudy skies. And it's true, we need to take responsibility for our choices. We need to meet the expectations. And if that doesn't happen, then there are negative consequences. Your child, as you're delegating tasks and increasing their responsibility, your child is going to understand that their decisions are going to affect them. I'll give you an example of a negative versus positive example. You didn't wake up for your alarm, so now you need to grab a granola bar on the way to school. So here's a positive. Oh, you woke up on the first time when the alarm went off, you have plenty of time and you have time for your favorite breakfast. So, those things will happen naturally, and, you want to let your child have both positive and negative consequences when it comes to their decision making. And one more fun thing that I like to do out in the community is really pay attention and discuss customer service experiences that you are having. So, this can look like you're going out for coffee, you're going out to a restaurant, you're, at your favorite coffee shop, and you see that the barista is on her phone. Talk to your kid. Is this, is that a good workplace behavior? Does that demonstrate professionalism? Why or why not? Why do you think that? Or you walk into the grocery store and immediately someone comes up to you and asks you if you need help finding something. You must be in Trader Joe's. They're so lovely there. And you can discuss how that made you feel. Oh, wow, that made me feel really welcome in this store. And they were able to help me find something. Wow, they were really professional in their customer service. You'll see so many examples of these sorts of things in your day-to-day, and it's just great to just notice them and see what your child notices as well. Now here I would love to pause. I went over 4 workplace readiness skills and started to talk about some strategies you can use to develop those. And if you have any questions, I would love to hear them.
Ariel, I'm not sure if you can see the questions in the Q&A box, so I'm going to read those to you.
Okay, I see them.
Oh, okay. So one of the questions is about, are your strategies still applicable for adult learners as well? Are there ways to make them age appropriate?
Absolutely. Yeah, so I would say that I mostly use these strategies with adult learners. Increasing responsibility in the home is important for everyone, whether you have a young kid, or whether your child is getting ready to transition out of the workplace. You can work on these skills. Your teenager, it's very important that they are able to accept feedback, be punctual. They most likely have that cell phone, and I would definitely work on them being able to use those functions in their cell phone to decrease your involvement in telling them what to do and telling them to prompt. But Mariko, if you had a more specific, more like which strategy, if you wanted to ask me about how I would apply it to an adult learner, I'd love to answer that for you.
Okay. Well, Mariko, if you want to type it into the chat, that would be fine. If you're doing that, go ahead. But there's one other question.
I'll go, yeah.
Yeah, do you see that one?
Yeah, and I'll read this one aloud. I appreciate your comments about feedback. My 16-year-old teenager is highly self-critical and does not receive any feedback, positive or negative, well. We have been trying to help him understand that feedback is a necessary part of life and work, but he has very black and white thinking and is very triggered by negative feedback. He will say self-depreciating things about himself, such as, I can never do anything right, when we point out how he can improve. I worry that he will not do well in a work setting with this attitude. Do you have any suggestions for how we can help him? Yeah, so I would say that this is a very, very common problem that we have with our, especially coming into the teenage years with our kiddos who think in black and white. They have a really, really hard time accepting any sort of feedback. And it also, you're right to worry that, that skill is necessary in the workplace. And what I would say is I would consider making some sort of checklist, or, you could even do this in your notes app, about accepting feedback. So, writing out, if you were completing a chore, let's say your teenager's chore was to help unload the dishes. As part of that chore, you could have something like in your notes app say, completed the chore, accepted feedback, was able to complete chore without argument, those sort of behaviors, maybe if they were listed out rather than you constantly saying those things, it might be helpful for your child. You could also ask your 16-year-old if this is appropriate for them. How would you like to receive feedback? Would this be easier for you if I, perhaps texted you after? Would it be easier if it wasn't right in the moment? If we set up a time in the evening to talk about feedback from your chores? Kind of putting some more structure in place around providing feedback, I think would be really helpful. I hope that helped to answer your question.
Sorry, I was on mute. Ariel, there's one question Ramona raised her hand, so I'm gonna let her.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Ramona, you can turn off your, yeah. There you go.
Well, actually, I think I mistakenly raised my hand, but just as a follow-up, Ariel, to what you were saying,
Yeah.
It sounds as though you're not giving an escape route, like, hey, don't work on trying to improve those skills. Just find a way around it so that feedback can be constructive and taken.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and I would say that, as this, as you're giving feedback, it's going to get easier, right? So, as if you are doing this in a consistent manner, with not letting yourself get upset because your kid is getting upset about it, just staying really level with this, and, also really praising when you see, fabulous work. You definitely want, for a kid who is overly critical of themselves, stack on that praise to get them motivated. And, as you continue with that constructive feedback, even if they are really not receptive to it at first, as long as you are consistent and calm in these, I believe that you will see an improvement, and that it will be really, really, a muscle that they're developing. These sort of things, it's not going to be, oh, first time you're going to take my feedback correctly. This is going to be something that, they need to work on, and it is potentially something that you want to talk to the school team as part of the transition plan, to be something that they are working on as well. If it's a difficulty that you are seeing at home, they're probably seeing it at school too.
Ariel, there's another question in the chat about how siblings can play a role in helping learn these strategies.
So I see a role for siblings as part of the family team, and so that you're giving, each child praise on what they're doing. I've heard some families that they feel like they don't put as much onto their child without disabilities than because they feel like, it's not fair. But, I would say that you want to put on responsibilities to your child that are developmentally appropriate for them. So I wouldn't see, it really depends on the family dynamic. If it is motivating for your child to work with alongside their sibling, but I wouldn't see a role, in providing feedback from a sibling. I don't think that would be very helpful. So I see a follow-up from Mariko that I can read aloud. So my daughter does not easily accept no as an answer. She is often firmly set in her ways. I observed, though, that she is often open to peer suggestions. She is very hard to pick up herself after making a mistake. One mistake can easily ruin all her waking hours. She is also not wanting to receive verbal praises. I'm still puzzled by this. I need to be careful how and when to give praises because she takes as though she lost and I won to get her to do what I want her to do. Any suggestions on how to handle those situations differently? Sorry, now I need to read it out loud again for myself in one moment. So it sounds like this 26-year-old has some real perfectionist tendencies, and those can be really difficult to overcome. I would want to know more about, it's interesting that she's more open to peer suggestions. And so it sounds like perhaps working in a group setting would be appropriate for her. She doesn't want to receive verbal praise and she doesn't want feedback. I think that you are just going to have to be pretty consistent and, okay with not, I guess, kind of not walking on eggshells when she does make a mistake and just letting her know that this is, very normal to make mistakes and, model how, when you make a mistake, maybe be extra clumsy here or there, and follow your thought process on, oh man, I made a mistake. This feels so bad. What feels so bad about it? And you can kind of make it into this big drama of yourself and then also model how you can, come back and center yourself and, fix your mistake. But yeah, even if she is very hard on herself, I would probably try to, just say, okay, we're going to have to move on from that and we're still going to have to complete this task. With not wanting to receive verbal praises, perhaps you can ask her, would a thumbs up or a little pat on the arm be better? Sometimes we have our kiddos who are a little bit more physical and like that physical sort of touch, or, really don't like that physical touch, and a thumbs up can be really good, or a smile from you, or maybe even buying into some sort of reward system might be helpful for your daughter, I think. But yeah, I hope that really is a complicated situation. And I think that I would, my most important piece of advice would be to, stay firm in your boundaries of her still needing to do it, even though she made a mistake. and still needing to do it even though she doesn't like your feedback. And then Christine asked if I recommend an app for setting reminders and giving positive feedback. You know what, Christine, I definitely have a list of these, and if you email me, I will be really happy to share them with you. But of course, like, it's, you know, not on the top of my head right now. For setting reminders, I use the built-in app on my iPhone, and I think that Androids have those as well. I set myself reminders all the time, or I wouldn't remember anything. So I highly recommend using the built-in reminders app. But I definitely, if you, Christine, send me, I can send, you know what I'll do? I'll send Diane a list of some of these apps that I can share so that you all can have them.
Thanks, Ariel. I'm gonna put a little plug in. I don't know how many of you are familiar with, we have at the Arc of Northern Virginia, we have a Tech for Independent Living team, and we have worked with a software provider, and we've developed an app to work on things. It started out as for like travel training skills, but we do employment skills, daily living skills, social skills, safety skills. And in line with what you were talking about earlier, like taking a picture of how you want it, those are the kinds of things that are built into the app. So we have some things that are, you know, generalized content lessons for people to be able to learn. But then we can also do customized ones. So everything from making your lunch to making your breakfast to setting the table to doing laundry to sorting laundry. And we have demos once a month. It's called Tech Team Thursday, where our staff does a demo of what the app is all about and how to access it. It's free. And then you get the support of our staff as well. So that is something that I will share with you when I do the follow-up email, because it's very much in line with the things that you are talking about, where it also has customized check for like understanding. So as you learn the task, you can check it off that you've done it, watch it several times until you get comfortable with actually completing the task independently. So I will share that information.
Yes, I got the demo of the app from Ashley, and it's really incredible. I couldn't recommend it more. And it will definitely be on my, you know, list of apps that I would share.
Great. Are there any last questions? No. Well, Ariel, thank you so much for being with us today.
I actually have like 3 more slides if you guys
Oh,
would
I'm so sorry. Go ahead. I thought that was the end. Go.
I have a few more tricks to share with you all. And, you know, I also want to say that, you know, I am a mom of 2, so I understand that, you know, life is tricky and getting out the door is tricky with kids, and no matter the age, you know, getting things done is necessary. So, you know, I don't want you to feel like that you need to be doing so much. You know, I think that you really need to start slowly. And it's really easy for me to sit here at this computer and tell you what to do while I think about, you know, my own drowning in my own house, and, you know, how I would wish that I could get my kids to do more. So I just wanted to put that out there before I give you these last few slides. So I want you to think about back when your kiddo was learning how to walk and you supported them and you held both their hands. And then, you know, as they got better at it, you started holding on one hand and then maybe just like the little finger, and then they were doing it by themselves. And I want you to think about building any skill kind of like that. You know, we started with the push toy and then they became mobile. You know, and if you can think of it like that, you are just slowly decreasing your amount of support. You know, I think it's also really important to focus on interests and strengths, because everyone is more willing to work at something that they excel at and that they're interested in and that they're good at. you would be much less likely to stay in a job that was boring for you or was too difficult. I would also get your child's feedback on their preferences. And, you can do this by talking to them, or you can do this just by watching them. Observation is your friend here. You see your kid is doing a really good job at, clearing their plate. Could you add something else onto that? Like rinsing their sink off, rinsing their plate off. We want to focus on what our kids can do, and then we build from there, and then they'll shine. We also want to start small. So start with a simple task and then build towards those more complicated tasks. It's important that as you increase these responsibilities, that your kiddo is feeling successful at their attempts. As your child increases their autonomy in day-to-day tasks and takes on more responsibility, you should increase your independence slowly and also allow those natural consequences that I've been talking about. For example, remembering workout clothes for after-school sports, and then work up to those more complicated tasks. Then you also want to break it down. When you teach new tasks, you really want to break them down into manageable chunks. And you can use written instructions, you can use picture instructions. This is especially important when working on tasks that have multiple steps, like doing the laundry. And it's perfectly okay if your child is just completing a part of the task. Maybe, their job is always to move the laundry from the washer to the dryer. That is perfectly okay to complete one part of a task. And then you're going to kind of act as their supervisor, which means you are going to provide their specific feedback. I want you to focus on the positive and then offer suggestions on what to try again. So one way I would do this, being specific in what I see. Wow, I love the way you remembered to switch the laundry to the dryer without my asking. Or I like the way you took your plate to the sink without my asking. Next time I want to show you, I want you to rinse it off. Let me show you how. And then you're working side by side there. And then I want you to provide immediate and positive reinforcement after a desirable behavior. We're going to make sure to have these reflective conversations on the contributions your child is making to the family team. And you can talk about everyone's, with the thinking about siblings, you can really talk about everyone's contributions and how important everyone's work is for the family. And then I want you to stand back, which is a really hard skill for us parents. We're going to let our kids kind of do their thing. They're going to complete their chores and build problem-solving skills. Trying to let your kid figure some things out for themselves is going to give them agency. And you might be surprised that they actually find out a more efficient way to complete a task than you've been doing, or creative way. You're going to offer support while respecting their autonomy. So for example, would you like help coming up with a plan for how to remember to take the trash out this week? I've noticed you've had some trouble with that. Or it seems like remembering to make your bed in the morning has been really tough for you. Would you like to brainstorm some different strategies we can try so you can remember on your own? And perhaps maybe then you're adding in an alarm for them, make bed every morning, 7:05, make bed, or daily reminders, or in your notes app, a to-do list of all those things they need to get done in the morning before they leave for school. And then this is going to be my last tips for you all, some teacher tips. These are some of my favorite tools that I've learned that I'll end with and share with you. Sandwiching. So sandwiching is when you put unpreferred activity, preferred activity, unpreferred, or rather you do preferred, unpreferred, preferred. So try putting an unpreferred activity in the middle of two preferred activities. For example, for your after school schedule, you could have a snack, preferred. Make salad for dinner, not preferred. Watch an episode of TV, preferred. So that you're building in their responsibilities and they're still getting that time to do the things that they want to do. And then choices. Choices are so important. within your consistent routines, I want you to build in choices. So if every Saturday your child needs to complete a larger task, such as vacuuming the living room or doing yard work, give them a choice of what they want to complete. Giving choices is going to lead to greater buy-in and compliance from your child. Also, giving simple choices, such as asking where your child would like to eat or what fruit they want on the side of their dinner, encourages decision-making, which is a skill that needs to be built for most of our kiddos with disabilities. And then have fun. Family chores can actually be fun for children and even our young adults. You can make games such as sorting, matching and tossing socks into a laundry basket. You can listen to their favorite music. You can role play, keep it light. And then as you are building up endurance, I highly recommend doing regular breaks, especially during larger tasks. It may sound counterintuitive, but taking scheduled breaks can actually improve concentration and may motivate your child to complete their tasks. So, if they're working on something, you say, okay, at 11 a.m., you can have your 5-minute on YouTube or whatever their preferred break is, that can be motivating for them. And also, having breaks throughout something that's difficult to focus on can really lead to improved concentration and, improved accuracy as well. If someone is getting tired while they're doing something, then they are not likely to do it as accurately and as efficiently as they can. And then my last tip is to be consistent. I should have written that in bold because that is really the most important thing. Whatever you decide to implement, whether you want your child to start doing a specific chore in your home, or you just want them to be helping out alongside you, whatever you want to do, you got to do it with consistency. So, you can pick one workplace readiness skill that you really want to focus on, or one chore that you really want to focus on, and really hone in on that. But however you do it, just do it with consistency. And lastly, thank you so much for being here. I hope that, you take one thing away from this and are able to implement it in your home. You can see that my contact information is here if you want to get in touch. I will send Diane all of those apps to share. And I'll also stick around here if you have any further questions. I love the questions that you were asking earlier and really appreciate them.
Great. Ariel, thank you so much. This was really important
Thank
information. And as I mentioned in the beginning, if you signed in a little bit late, I will be sending out Ariel's slides and this recording. So thank you very much. I'm going to stop recording right now.